Welcome back, focused learners, to today's explainer. Today we're diving straight into a profoundly insightful framework for both personal and global transformation. It comes to us from a piece published back in September 2023 called The Grateful Pattern. Look, in our fast-paced world, finding a true sense of grounding can feel, well, practically impossible, and that is exactly why we need this today. What makes this text so captivating is how it distills these massive concepts into a very precise, rhythmic meditation on how we approach life, work, and our ultimate purpose. If you appreciate clear, structured thinking that still manages to speak directly to the soul, you're absolutely going to love this. I want to hook you immediately with this incredibly powerful line from the source text. Gratitude builds on rock and feeds on truth. Just let that sink in for a second. We so often think of gratitude as this fleeting, warm emotion, right? But right out of the gate, this explainer asks us to reframe that entirely. Here, gratitude is presented as a structural foundation. It's solid, it's unyielding, and it's rooted entirely in reality and truth. It really sets this beautifully contemplative yet totally inspiring tone for everything we're going to unpack today.
Which brings us to Section 1, the visionary behind the words. Because to truly understand this framework, we've got to first understand the worldview of its creator.
The creator of the Grateful Pattern is Oluyomi Ola David, who you can see introduced here by her distinct professional logo. She is a Nigerian thought leader, and understanding her identity and her core motivations is absolutely vital. Literally everything she writes in this piece is a direct extension of how she views her role in the world and how she interacts with the people around her. You can see this directly in her own words from her professional bio. She states, "I am a Nigerian and I love people. I am concerned about global development and transformation." She then goes on to explain that she genuinely enjoys generating solutions, influencing policy and strategy, and providing clarity. So we aren't just dealing with an abstract poet here. She is a deeply analytical strategist. Her broader life mission to effect real, tangible change in global development directly fuels the poetic reflection we're looking at today. It tells us that her framework is built for real-world application, not just theory. Okay, let's dive right into Section 2, the patience of gratitude, which is the very first pillar of her framework. Just look at these specific actions she attributes to gratitude. She writes that gratitude plants its little, hones strength, exudes grace, builds on rock, and cares about history. What she's doing here is personifying gratitude. She's turning it into an active, patient, and foundational force. In her framework, gratitude isn't just a passive reaction to something good happening. No, it is an active discipline that roots us in reality and actually prepares us for the future. I want to slow down for just a second to really unpack this specific metaphor. Gratitude plants its little and eats patient fruit. This is just such a brilliant way to frame investment. And I don't just mean financial, but emotional and spiritual investment too. She views gratitude as a long-term strategy rather than some instant reward. When you're grateful for the little you have today, you're effectively planting seeds. And the fruit of that gratitude? Well, it takes time to grow. It requires patience. It's a remarkably grounded way to look at personal progress. And she builds on this idea with another striking observation. Gratitude cares about history and tracks the trend. The crucial takeaway here is that she doesn't just see gratitude as a comforting feeling, but as a literal analytical tool. By acknowledging the past, by actually caring about our history, we anchor our present strength. Tracking the trend means we're using gratitude to recognize patterns of growth and survival over time. It is strategic reflection at its finest. Now let's shift the narrative to Section 3, the action of faith. While gratitude provides those deep, patient roots, Oluyomi balances this out with the active, dynamic, and forward-moving energy of faith. When you look at the specific actions she attributes to faith, a stark contrast emerges. Faith heeds the Most High, wakes up to duty, has beautiful feet, takes life serious, and seeks one approval. She characterizes faith not as some passive belief system where you just sit back and cross your fingers, but as a catalyst. Her version of faith demands immediate, deliberate action. It's practically a call to arms for the diligent worker. And this next line brilliantly illustrates that exact concept. Faith wakes up to duty and keeps its shield. Here, faith is doing two things simultaneously. First, it's a worker that gets up every single day to fulfill a purpose. But second, it's a protector, keeping its shield raised against adversity. For someone who is deeply concerned with global development, like she noted in her bio, faith is the armor and the energy required to ready herself for the daily, grinding challenges of driving transformation. She reinforces this active nature by stating, faith has incentive to work and display the goods.
If we connect this back to her professional bio, it makes perfect sense. This pillar of faith drives her real-world intent to generate actual solutions and influence strategy. Faith isn't hiding away in a corner. It's out in the open, doing the hard work, and delivering visible, tangible results. It's displaying the goods, as she so colorfully puts it.
All right, let's bring it all together in Section 4, the grateful pattern. We've explored the deep roots of gratitude and the active drive of faith. Now, let's synthesize both pillars to reveal the titular concept.
When we juxtapose these two forces side by side, her deliberate, alternating rhythm becomes crystal clear. On one side, gratitude looks up and offers hope. It's the visionary, optimistic part of our psyche. But on the other side, faith takes life serious and minds its business. It is the focused, disciplined executor. The pattern she's outlining here isn't about choosing one over the other. It's all about operating in the tension between the hopeful observation of gratitude and the focused execution of faith.
She uses another stunning contrast to show how these traits symbiotically transform an environment. Gratitude occupies the air, meaning it sets the invisible atmosphere, the tone, that baseline of peace and readiness. But faith lights up the room. It provides the brilliant illumination, the energy, and the visible action. You need the air to breathe, for sure, but you absolutely need the light to see where you're going. Together, they create an environment totally primed for transformation.
Finally, to fully grasp Oluyomi's framework, we really have to look at the spiritual core that she explicitly credits as the driving force behind all of this. In her bio, she writes, "My Father God owns and rules the universe. He is the wheel within my wheels." This is the ultimate engine behind her twin pillars. Her gratitude is anchored in this sovereign belief, and her active, dutiful faith is entirely propelled by this divine wheel within her wheels. It is the central truth that unites her entire philosophy of development and clarity.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a question to carry forward. Take a moment and really ask yourself, how are you applying the grateful pattern to your own history and future intent? Are you taking the time to plant your little and eat patient fruit? And are you simultaneously waking up to duty and displaying the goods? Oluyomi Ola David has given us an absolute masterclass in balancing quiet reflection with fierce, purposeful action. Take this blueprint, reflect on it, and see how it transforms the room you occupy today. Thank you so much for learning with me. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.